Hello everybody, welcome back to the Vintage Warlock channel. I hope you are all safe and well. And today we're going to be having a look at a Pulsar. So Pulsar are actually a sub-brand of Seiko. Their watches tend to be much cheaper than Seiko's, but they do retain some of the DNA and some of the features. And this watch in particular is probably a very good choice of watch if you are going away on holiday or going to the beach and you want something on your wrist that's not a Casio, but you don't want to spend an awful lot of money on it. So before we get into the review and have a look at the specifications of the watch, let's first talk about the price. So the price for the watch is $34.99. That is the amount that I paid for it on Amazon. The recommended retail price is $89.95. I don't think you'll ever be paying that much money for it. It is a basic watch. It is in the same league as Casio, and it's a great alternative if you're not looking for a digital watch, or if you are looking for an analog watch that hasn't got Casio on the top but you still want a good, recognizable, solid brand name. I haven't been paid for this review, so Amazon haven't paid me for this review, neither has Seiko and Pulsar. All the opinions that I have today are my own. There are no affiliate links to this watch, however I will be linking in the description below so you can have a look and see if indeed this watch is something that you are interested in. So this Pulsar is the model number PG8312X1, as imaginative as Seiko are when it comes to naming their models. I still think they have a little bit more to go. It's 43mm in diameter. It's stainless steel construction on the case. It is gold plated, although I would say it's more of a rose gold than a harsh gold, so it actually is quite toned down, especially when you've got it on wrist. It doesn't look as ostentatious as you would believe. It's got the Hardlex crystal on the front, which is essentially Seiko's own proprietary blend to make the crystal that they use. It's got a thickness of 12mm and a band width of 20mm. The band itself is made of silicone, and the band is a black colour. The silicone strap is actually very comfortable. It has got drilled lugs. However, I probably wouldn't be changing this out for any other straps, just because it is so cheap and the rubber strap is so comfortable. It's just not worth it in my opinion. It's a quartz movement, of course, which is a Seiko quartz movement. The weight is very light, it's 84 grams. And there's a date wheel at the 3 o'clock. As you can see, you've got triangle style batons, although it's like a pyramid at the 12 o'clock. You've got square indices all the way throughout, and then a recessed 3 o'clock, and pyramids or triangles on the 6 and 9. On the back of the case you can see the water resistance is 10 bar. It also says that on the front as well. Stainless steel movement, Japan, and it's the VJ32X303. It's a high polished case back, which is why it looks very scuffed and marked, and that's just because I've been using it. So on wrist, a relatively short lug to lug means that 43mm really wears well when you've got it on, and that's where you can start seeing a lot of the Seiko DNA coming through. This is a bit like a turtle in a way, of how it's sort of shaped and how it looks. Just a push-pull crown though, as we said before, with the 10 bar water resistance, but the short lug to lug means that it wears on wrist very well. And it's not just the case shape that has the model DNA of the Seiko. If you have a look at the dial itself, a lot of the indices, and indeed the where the crown is on the case, and the arrow hour hand, the minute hand, and the second hand as well with the arrow tip, they're all very reminiscent of either a Seiko or Orient watches, which, as we all know, are part of the Seiko Epsom group, and you can see that they've taken a lot of design cues from there and moved it on. Overall, the finishing, to look at it, is very good for the price. So outside in the good old sunshine of England, you can see that there is little to no anti-reflective coating on the watch. However, it's still quite legible, and that's because of it being a diver style watch. You've got good indices, and obviously the hour hands are quite clear as well, and you've got the good contrast between the black dial and the white sort of gold hands. It does look nice, however you can see some reflections in it. You can see me as I'm filming, but again, for the price, you're not expecting everything, are you? So what do I like about this watch? Well, there are a few things that I like about this watch. First of all, the strap is probably the standout for this watch. It is a lovely silicone rubber. It is much more comfortable than I had anticipated, and I thought I was not going to like the watch. Usually I don't go in for rubber straps, but this was just particularly comfortable. Secondly, the dial itself is actually really nice. It has a beautiful sunburst effect which doesn't quite show up on the camera. The indices are really well proportioned as well, and the hands too. The date wheel is black and the same colour, or colour matched, sorry, to the dial, which makes it all come together really nicely and makes it look like it's worth much more than a £40 watch. It looks a little bit more expensive, and I have to say it feels a little more expensive as well when it's on wrist. So those are the good things. Let's have a look at some of the things that I'm not so happy about, that I would consider to be negative with this watch. There are a couple. As I said before, you know, this isn't a all singing all dancing, this is an amazing watch review. This is just a good watch for the price. First of all, the bezel is fixed, so it is not unidirectional, it's not bidirectional, it is a fixed bezel, which makes sense because it's a Seiko watch and it wouldn't line up if it wasn't a fixed bezel anyway. The lume on this watch isn't great either. It's not bad, but it's not great. Think Casio Duro sort of levels, and then you've got a bit of an idea. Now, my camera really struggled to pick it up on here, and that's probably just because my camera needs a bit of an upgrade. However, the indices weren't that sort of clear, but the hands were, so at least that's something. But again, for the price, you've got to realise that it's not going to be able to pick up everything. And the final thing that I have a little bit of a moan with, it's not really a big one, but again, it's just a little thing to add on there, is the push-pull crown. Now, for me personally, if a watch has 100 meters of water resistance, that's fine, I will go swimming. However, I will be more reluctant to do that if the watch is just push-pull. So I've seen it on models more expensive than this. For example, the Hamilton Khaki Field, which I have in the queue for review, has push-pull crowns as well and 100 meters of water resistance. Personally, I just don't feel that comfortable with it when it's only 100 meters of water resistance and a push-pull crown, but that's just my opinion. So overall, in conclusion, I think this watch represents a unique point in the market in terms of value. It's cheaper than a Casio Duro, but doesn't have the advanced features of a Casio. So for example, the Casio Duro has a screw down crown and a unidirectional bezel. This watch doesn't have that, but what it does have is a relatively short lug to lug and a smaller diameter, along with a fantastic pattern on the watch as well that makes it look and feel really expensive and really soft and comfortable when it's on wrist. So I think that's where the value in this watch lies. However, when you have a look on Amazon, at the moment in the UK, there is the Casio Duro, last time I checked, was around the £55 to £60 mark. I'm not sure how much it would be in the US. However, they seem to be slightly harder to get a hold of. The Pulsar is next day delivery on Amazon, $34.99. That comes with a brand which has a lot of backstory and a lot of history to it, and just like the Casios, you know, Pulsar and Seiko are well known for the durability of their watches as well. So I'd recommend it if you're looking for something cheap that will get you through. You know, I'd recommend it, probably not as your only watch, but as a, you know, a make do and mend watch, for lack of a better phrase. But guys, tell me what you think about this watch. Do you agree? Do you think this is a good value? piece, or do you think it's just garbage and you better save your money and get a Casio Duro instead? Really interested to hear your thoughts on this one, because I'm a little torn over it. It's not going to stay in my collection. I'm probably going to sell it on, but that doesn't mean that I don't think it's at least worth looking from you guys. Links will be in the description below. As I mentioned before, these aren't affiliate links. I'm not getting paid for any of this, but it was just my opinion and I wanted to ask you guys for yours. Take care. I've got a couple of more watches in line for the review coming up, and I'll speak to you in a future video.